and the host of Yup, We're Here in the Wilky May Galaxy. You know him very well from that Upside Down universe. Welcome to the show, Gyan Rauger. Gyan Rauger, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me on, Dak. It is a pleasure to be one of the first people on this show from another dimension representing, Yup, we're here.
Oh, that's right. That's what I love to see. Now, Ryan, I'll tell you, it's so good to see your face.
Hey, you know, it's here. It's for you. It's for the audience, Gak. Zach.
Yeah, sorry. I just realized I called you Ryan and you called me Gak.
Yeah. Yeah. You look exactly like one of my best friends from this universe, Gak Zelfand.
Yeah,
Very
that's so
similar
funny
name.
you say that. You look like one of my best friends from this universe, Ryan Gauger.
Oh, that's crazy. Apologies if I get names wrong throughout this thing. Uh, small differences between our dimensions, but I think that we still have a lot in common that we can talk about.
Yeah, this is new for all of us. You yourself. Speaking of things in common, you have your own late night show. Yup, we're here. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, Zach, I think it's important to note that it is not a late night show. Now, it is held very, very early in the morning, at the same time as your show. The time in our dimensions, it's a little different. Your AMs are PM. We're really trying to hit the commuters on their way to work with our show, whereas I imagine you're trying to hit people maybe shortly after dinner. These little things, we'll just hash out as they come up. But yeah, the show is great. We have been getting great ratings so far. It's just happy to have this interdimensional sort of cross promotion on the table today.
It's truly great, and I hope all the people in the audience are going to be able to value kind of this communication we heard. So let me ask you, who are your compatriots in the late night, or rather the early morning kind of gambit of shows? Like who are some of your colleagues?
Well, some of the names might sound familiar to you. We have some real greats: Kevin Solbert, Never Troa, On Jolliver, Lay Geno, Bamantha C. Really anybody that you guys have. We have the same, just a little different.
And it seems the same. Yeah, we have a lot of similar. So let me ask you: have you ever been to our dimension? You seem to know a lot about it.
Well, not physically yet. Unfortunately, the technology is not quite there yet. But
we hope to change that.
We will one day. But we have been able to pick up some of your radio and television frequencies coming through the interdimensional timelines. So I've been able to keep track of what you guys are doing, what's going on with you guys. Just a little bit behind, but I do what I can to stay in touch. Actually, I was watching this comedy special by this comedian John Mulaney that you guys have.
Yes, he's a favorite. He's a friend of the show.
Oh, friend of the show. That's great to hear. Yeah, well, he bears a striking resemblance. I'm sure it won't surprise you, to someone from my dimension named Mom Delaney. While John Mulaney is charismatic, funny, and great, Mom Delaney is a tyrant. He's an accountant. He's the head of the IRS. And quite frankly, he's weaponized taxes against the everyday American and against his enemies. He has a cult following of accountants that do his bidding, and he's a scary guy that you definitely don't want to mess with. So seeing him on screen doing a comedy special, it was crazy.
Wow, that is frightening. But I guess I'll reel it back a little bit. It seems though we have almost all the same kind of figures, except their names are a little switched. Now, in the communications you get from our dimension, are there any other really notable foils?
Well, typically it's pretty easy to tell what's going on, but there are some that are more or less the same across dimensions.
Oh, okay.
One that comes to mind is Captain Crunch. Exact same guy here. He comes on commercials all the time, promoting his cereal. Although I will say how we do TV here is a little different. While you guys have long episodes cut up by snippets of commercials, we actually have long, drawn-out commercials with story arcs that are separate, and then little snippets of TV shows in between. It makes
That's
it very hard.
content.
Yeah, it makes it hard to watch TV. I'm going to be honest. I think that you guys might have it better there, but
Mhm.
Captain Crunch in our timeline, the exact same. You know, blue get up. He's wearing his captain's uniform. The only thing that's a little bit different is that he is actually an airline pilot. Um, he's
Oh.
actually got quite the fear of water. I don't think he'd be caught dead in a boat.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So you guys still have planes, I guess.
Yeah, Zach, we have planes. We're able to pick up interdimensional radio frequencies. Of course, we have planes.
I'm sorry.
You know, we had the Wrong brothers who took their first flight at Hitticock, North Carolina, just like you guys.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was
I'm sorry, I get worked up about aviation.
that's all right. Well, I guess on the note of aviation, I must have to ask then. You guys have a Captain Shelley Cullenberg who landed a plane in the Miracle on the Rudson River.
Okay, well, we have a Captain Cully who boarded a ship and took it to shore on Battery Island. It's not really a heroic tale, more of a tale of a crazed lunatic. But yeah, we have him. Yeah, he's here.
All right. It seems like we might have stepped in some sensitive waters. Speaking of sensitive waters, we're dealing with a global pandemic, the coronavirus. I'm curious if you guys are also dealing with some sort of global catastrophe.
Yeah. Well, you know, Zach, I've been seeing on the news all the things that are happening with your pandemic, and it looks terrible. You're all having to stay inside. You know, wear those masks. We are also going through sort of a pandemic, although the results are slightly different. While you guys have to stay indoors, our pandemic is actually caused by a widespread deficiency in vitamin D. Unfortunately, all the vitamin makers are all out of that good stuff, so the only way to get it is by going outside and being in the sun. And, you know, from your perspective, you might think that's a good thing, right? Staying outside and, you know, soaking in the rays. But let me tell you what, there are global shortages of sunscreen. There are global shortages of baseball caps, things that protect people from the sun so they don't get hurt. You know, we just don't have enough of them. And people are out there sweating, being very hot, very hot. You know, it's not good for the common person. We're trying to roll out maybe like a skylight system where we give every house a hole in the roof.
Mm.
But the technology is just not there yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, because once you make the hole, then you open it up to rain and all sorts of other atmospheric troubles. So let me ask you then, because this sounds like a very bad thing, a double-edged sword where you kind of have to be outside, but then you've got to be careful of how much sun intake you have. So what are people doing? Are they able to be together? Because we have a social distancing policy, but it sounds like almost if you were to get more people together and create shade and tents and sort of that would be a helpful way.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, you guys have your social distancing. We don't really have policies in place saying that we can or cannot be together. But if you go out on a cloudy day, you know how you have those like rays of light that sometimes shine through?
Mm-hmm.
It's the area on the land. Just people flock to it. It's disgusting. You know, you got bodies smushed together, people getting trampled. You know, like I said, it's a pandemic. It's terrible, but in very different ways. And quite frankly, disgusting to watch.
Yeah. Well, we hear you loud and clear, and we stand in solidarity with you and your brethren with this inverted quarantine, if you will. Guy, excuse me, I did it again. Have anything else to say to this interdimensional audience before we say adieu?
You know, I just want to again thank you for having me on. You know, give a quick plug to the show. You know, obviously it runs concurrently with yours, but whenever we get to the television's working so that it's going both ways in terms of the frequencies, you know, maybe we'll be a little bit behind you so that you can watch both shows. You know, I want to reach as wide as an audience as I can, you know. So I just
And we're
appreciate
gonna
having me on. Yeah.
we're gonna very much help you do that. Everybody, Gyan Rauger from the Wilky May Galaxy in the Upside Down universe. Gyan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
All righty. Have a good time now. Have a good day. Or a good afternoon. I don't know what it is by him.